Hello everyone, my name is AP the Weird One, and we are back with episode 8 of Ameku M.D. Doctor Detective, The Angel's Descent, Part 1. When I started watching this episode, I wasn't sure what I was going to talk about, because we had 3 different cases, and we also have to deal with this boy named Kenta, who's got leukemia. We learned about this kid in the previous episode, the very end. So I was just kind of going along. I wasn't sure where this episode was going. It was a bit interesting. And the interesting part was how Ameku was reacting to the kids, going down to the pediatric ward where the kids are, including where Kenta is. She acted very strange. And it was a very odd, a very odd episode at first. And then until you got to the very end, then I understood, what was going on. Before I watched the episode, because I learned of leukemia and learned what the kid is, I didn't think I was going to be able to relate to this episode too much, but there was some surprisingly things I could talk about in relationship. So let's kind of go with this first. We'll start at the beginning and go towards and keep going and move forward. Basically, the very beginning of this episode, Dr. Kuma, a resident doctor, he's works at pediatric. He's been a common character. These 3 young boys, each of them 1, 10, 11, 12, in that order specifically, all had these conditions, and suddenly before the discharge, they got an anomaly. And the first one was Katsui. He had acute appendicitis. He's about to get discharged, and then suddenly he throws up. Now, I've had acute appendicitis. I'd had surgery, get it removed. At age 9 or so, and I don't remember a lot of details. I remember being at home. It took me about I think over a month or so to recover. I'm not sure if I threw up during the time. I remember there was being discharged from the wound, from my little surgery. I'm not sure how long I spent in the hospital, but I kind of didn't think that was super abnormal. And even though this isn't related to appendicitis, when I got in a bike crash and I had ruptured stomach and just kind of broken bones, I remember exercising, trying to move around, and I accidentally threw up. So that part didn't seem to be too weird for me, at least. I was like, is that really an abnormality? I don't know. It seemed like there was something that could have easily been caused, but I don't know. That part didn't really trigger my brain anything. Like, okay, I don't know. For me, I wouldn't have been too worried about it as a parent. I'm like, okay. But the other cases that are definitely a bit of concern, we have a boy who is 11, Yuchi. He has mycoplasma pneumonia, and this is a very interesting pneumonia that is a lung-based pneumonia. I had a pneumonia during COVID, and I might have gotten some. I think I was the flu last month. I think October and November and December. It took forever to cure. Kind of the same business. Not necessarily need to be at a hospital, but I guess could be. I mean, if you're 11 years old, it could be something to worry about. My dad did go into the hospital for pneumonia. I forget if he actually had this kind, but he did have pneumonia. Did have to go in the hospital, get treatment. This type of pneumonia, it's the lung, but it's inflamed or swollen. It usually happens around with young people in crowded places. So a kid at school absolutely could have it. You have to be younger than 40, so it makes sense. He suddenly gets a bit of asthma, right before his discharge. Each of them happened within between at nighttime 9, 10, and 11, or about so. And then it's within a week, or it was also within a week. And then the final kid, Atsuchi, he's got WPW, Wolf Parkinson's White syndrome, which is basically an irregular heartbeat. There's a heart that gets an extra electrical current. This could be a genetic defect, development in the while they developed in the egg sac, whatever, during pregnancy, or it could happen during environmental, later on in life. So there's quite a different factors. Usually takes some medication. It does seem to be cured between 85 and 95%, but there can be complications. He summons he gets arrhythmia, which or irregular heartbeat. That also seemed a bit common given the condition he had, but I'm like, okay, there's 3 abnormalities that, I mean, given that he's got the medication and everything, it should be okay. But something just pops up and, you need Dr. Ameku. But when Dr. Ameku is asked to go down there, she doesn't really examine him. Her mind's in a different cloud and has to relate to the boy Kenta. He has leukemia, and we find out that when this kid first had leukemia at age 6, Dr. Ameku was a resident, and like she saw him, and she's the one who pointed out that he actually had leukemia, and these two became friends together. Like kind of grew together. She wasn't getting too long a residency very well, and we'll talk a little bit more about her personality. But yeah, so this kid in going through this problem kind of made her open up as a person, open her up, and they become friends. And there's some really good, cute facial expressions, like right here. Ameku, her personality, she's kind of semi a little bit robotic. Like she's more concerned about herself. She not super narcissistic or anything, but she doesn't know how to deal with people on an emotional level, so to speak. She's kind of very forward and blunt, kind of shtick. This kid, and when this kid has his relapse, she doesn't really know how to process it. And even when she was a resident, she didn't know how to deal with this kid. So she became very curious. She experienced new things, and so she doesn't exactly know how to be there for at time be Kenta. So she runs into him. She's like, hey, why don't you read my picture book that I really like, and that features an angel. And she clams up. He is her friend. This is the first kid that is going to pretty much die that is younger than her. She's been essentially a doctor for 2 years. We know that she is 20. You know that she is 27, so presumably she's been a full-time doctor 1.5 years, or basically 2 years. So yeah, this is going to be the first someone younger than pass away, and she does not know how to emotionally deal with it. She doesn't know what to do for him, because there's nothing that her scientific knowledge can guarantee her to help him. They basically done the best, and he's going to die any moment, and she doesn't know how to be for them emotionally. They did mention it would be adaptable, which she on the fly, basically adaptive flexibility, but something that she struggles with, and she doesn't want to hurt him. It was a very humbling moment for Dr. Ameku, just seeing her like, this is something I can't really deal with at the moment. I am a doctor, but I'm also a woman. Women are a lot more emotional. And yes, she needs to get past this and be there for him, because friend and doctor and everything. But yeah, just seeing at this point it was heartwarming. But also, because of the 3 patients suffering these problems, she'd not be able to do a doctor, even though that she isn't their primary doctor. She was asked to look at them. And at the end of the episode, the one who's had the heart problems kind of flatlines essentially. And maybe if she had, if this kid dies or anything, or in critical condition, she could blame herself and realize be a good stepping point. Like, she needs to be there for both Kenta and for herself. It was interesting. I guess for me personally, I can sort of see. When I lost my mother 3-ish years, or almost 3 years ago, I definitely had regrets on what I could have done to help her, and I didn't know how to help her at the time, make it better. I definitely felt a lot of regret, so I can sort of relate to it. I did emotionally break down, but I was able. I rebounded back, and I still have relapses now and then. There are certain things that can sort of trigger it, but yeah. So I could kind of understand where she's going. This person really opened up to her, and she was like basically her first biggest friend that she's had since being a doctor or whatever. So it's understandable, and I can't wait to look forward to the next character development in part 2 of Angel Descent. Now, before we end, we do need to talk a little bit about it. So the 3 kids who have the problem, they're basically the oldest kids, and they bully him, and they think that maybe the angel has come to curse them, so to speak, because they ripped up his picture book, they kind of mess with him. they're just, they're being brats. It's like not being very respectful, and maybe an angel sort of caused problems for them. We do see at the end of the episode that the angel does come, and it's like a light thing, like a flashlight, and there's Angel. I thought it was Ameku, considering she could be a sort of angel-like, but considering they do know each other, that was quickly dispensed. But yeah, it was a very interesting episode. I didn't know how to at first I didn't know how to piece together what I'm going to talk about, but yeah, it just all came together. Another little aspect. So when Ameku is having her emotional breakdown, and she asks Katori about, have you ever dealt with someone been at their last days of life younger than you? He's like, yeah, I know it's like, I've been a surgeon for 5 years. I exactly know. So we do have an idea of how old Katori is. I wish there was something specifically in the series that indicates that she's 27, but hey, whatever. But yeah, so he's about 29, 30, 31, give or take, maybe a little bit older. So he is slightly older than Dr. Ameku, and he's been at this a longer time. And yeah, it's kind of good for it. I like the friendship between them. And she definitely needs someone, a man, kind of in her life to kind of pick her up, or at least a good friend to help her up, and say, hey, you need to get over it. You need to get over this. Time to be an adult and a doctor. Even though she has her reasons for being, and I'm not mad at her or anything. I think it's perfectly understandable. But she needs a good friend. One aspect, the little kids, when they're being their troublesome themselves, they talk to Maya and say, it's the hot doctor, because I guess they don't convey this too well with her, but Maya is apparently a little bit tan, or has some bit of tan that doesn't come off that way too well. But yeah, they called her good looking. I'm like, why is she getting so upset about this? Why is she upset that these 3 boys called her hot? I'm like, I don't know. I feel like that would have been a little bit flattering. Maybe because that they're rambunctious and being spoiled little brats and everything, and being pain, that would be sort of a deterrent. But yeah, I think I thought it would be kind of nice, kind of friendly towards her. I mean, she is cute. She's a cute. Maya is very cute. But I feel like I've gone on long enough with this episode. I really enjoyed it. It was a little bit of a whirlwind at the beginning, just like, where am I going? But when I saw the full picture and the episode, I'm like, everything has come together, and I just love this episode, and I can't wait for part 2. Happen next week. So on this day and this right now, hopefully you guys have a wonderful day. I'll see you guys next time for episode 9 next week. Have a good day.